So Streetsmart, like a lot of businesses and charities, have had a crazy last 18 months. Last year, our funding was hit hugely. £500,000 down because we didn't have a chance to really get the campaign up and running before we had lockdowns and curfews and various things. And this year has just been amazing. The response from the hospitality industry, given the tough times and the uncertainty, has been really humbling for us as a charity. People wanted to help. They realise homelessness is something that is still resonating out there and people struggling, and they still wanted to give back. So we have a record number of restaurants taking part in London, over 500 across the UK, and we're just so indebted to those people in the industry. One thing crucial to the success of Streetsmart is our partnership with Land Aid. Land Aid are our sponsor. They cover all the costs of our campaign, which means 100% of what we raise can go to actually help the projects, help people in need. We take nothing out of that for our own administration. Also, through their contacts with, in the property industry, it's helped us to fund projects and builds that is actually finding accommodation for young people. Because without the homes, people just cannot really move on and improve their lives and turn their lives around. Homelessness is on the increase. So with that increase, our funds are needed out there, and hopefully this year we'll raise over £500,000 and actually help people get through the winter, get back on their feet and find accommodation.
Being there right in the middle of Soho at a time when there was still a lot of people helping homeless people, but it wasn't as bad as it is now for people being on the streets. But they would sit outside the Groucho Club. They knew everybody would come in with spare money, and so instead of giving them £1, they give them a £5 or a £10 or more. It was a great place to be, but it did make us incredibly aware that the homeless were surrounding us. You could walk home, you walk down the Strand, we all know that you'd see every single doorway slightly move, people rolled over. And Christmas, we were closed, and we knew that when we closed those doors, we were closing a source of income, in a sense, to the homeless in the coldest, wettest, and saddest time of year if you didn't have anywhere to go to. And nobody feels good about giving somebody some clean underwear. I mean, giving somebody some help that is nothing glamorous about it at all. And I think that is one of the best things that Streetsmart has always acknowledged, that dignity does not come necessarily in the nicest possible way as a giver, and it's giving people dignity, I think.
After COVID, I think a lot more people really want to look after each other. I think we did learn quite a big lessons during COVID about looking after each other and being more human. So yeah, since we've started doing Streetsmart again for the second year now, we've seen some real big investments into it as well from guests. But it's important that the team understand what it is and what it's for and how amazing it is to make sure they relay that information onto the guests too. When you think about Mayfair and Park Lane, it's meant to be one of the richest places in the country, but yeah, I walk up and down Park Lane every day of my life. And yeah, the amount of homeless you see is really sad. So no, it's super important, and we make sure we relay that information onto our staff as well, because they see that too.
A lot of times when people dine out, obviously I dine out far too much for my own good, and it is a real luxury. But a lot of people make that effort at Christmas time, and you sort of get that energy and the warmness, and people just having, like I said, a very merry time. I think it brings a whole different environment to the experience. You feed the belly, you feed the heart. I think it's one of those things where it marries up so much. It's a perfect opportunity to do it. And also it's a good time to start thinking about those who are less fortunate. Because I truly believe in what Streetsmart does. If you can afford to go out for a meal, I think that paying £1 is reasonable, and I think that pound ends up going a long way. I'm always a big believer in small actions. If you do them over a big enough sample, ends up making a huge difference. So very, very happy to play a part in that.
I was travelling into work during lockdown, and I could see the increase of homelessness on the streets. People, the Strand was full of people. So we started to fundraise at that stage, and we developed something called the Community Kitchen, where we were working with a number of charities, and then cooking meals. Our staff, not just the chef, front of house as well, would come in and volunteer, and we were literally cooking thousands of meals a week. Commercial kitchens can produce a lot of food very easily, so and there's a lot of food waste out there as well. So we were working with the charities who were trying to tackle food waste, putting it through a commercial process, and then making batches where it's really easy for us to make 300 or 400 meals compared to somebody who's doing it in a little sort of community centre. We developed a different initiative, which was putting a pound on every portion of bread, because that notion of breaking bread, of the community sort of spirit, we donated the pound. So we have done that since we reopened back in April, and we're raising between £500 and £600 a week, which is then going straight into initiatives that Streetsmart are working on.
I cycle through it daily and seeing ever more increasing numbers, and the heart just breaks more and more. How has this happened, and how can we live in this society? What can society do to correct it? It's a huge thing, and I think Streetsmart is the most brilliant campaign because it's so effortless, and it's £1 per customer per table, and easily managed, and it all goes to a good cause. And so with tumultuous applause to be supported. Why Streetsmart in December and November is brilliant. November, folk get used to it. By December, they don't even notice it. And we are able to turn tables. Restaurants are more structured, they're more ordered because there's such a fabulous demand. Thank you. We're very grateful to all our customers. And for regulars that return, and even try to give more, which is amazing, and so we can put them through to the website. It's a beautifully organised charity, I have to say.